Oh crap, it's the Cuerpo. This is Mexico's biometric ID. I spent a lot of time in Mexico. I mean, people generally know that it feels like a decade behind when it comes to technology, but bam, out of nowhere, they come out with a digital ID system that is supposed to be fully mandatory next year. Mexico's supposed to be a country that runs on cash. You're supposed to have fresas and crema, you know? You can buy SIM cards with cash without giving any personal information. So it just feels like a lot. It's changing quickly. The Mexican government just signed this biometric CURP law, CURP, which CURP stands for Clave Única de Registro de Población, or Unique ID for Population Registration. In Mexico, it's known as the Cuerpo. That's what they call it. So this number is the number that you get when you're applying for residency. And I've known people who've gone through the residency process, and they have you submit your fingerprints, all 10 of them, scan your irises, and take a photo. So with this bill, they've been doing this for years, so now we see their true intention. They were tying all that information up to be sent to a digital ID. And this information includes everything I just mentioned, so that's part of it. The irises, the fingerprints, the electronic signature, the photograph, the works. And the government says they're doing this to help track down missing persons. Missing people, well, the obvious question is how, if biometric system would help people who never enrolled into the system in the first place, how is it going to help find them? I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me. But this implementation of the Cuerpo will come in 3 phases: the pilot program in Veracruz, then in Mexico City and the state of Mexico, and in February 2026, the ID will become mandatory nationwide, mandatory. And from on that point onwards, it's going to be required for things like renewing voter ID. Look at that guy. He's like thinking, should I get the Cuerpo? Newsflash, don't get the Cuerpo. It'll be used for things like renewing voter ID, school registrations, social program enrollment, and obtaining a passport. You won't be able to go to school without this thing. Come on. Well, I mean, I guess that's a good thing if you don't want to go to school. The law also promises million peso fines. Million pesos. Millones pesos. I think that's how they say it. Which is equivalent to about 50,000 US. Now, this wouldn't be against residents, but federal authorities who fail to comply with the enforcement of the Cuerpo. And so I think this is pretty smart. This is like a precautionary measure against the local corruption of police and government officials who might take bribes. And newsflash, they definitely take bribes. They'll pull you over from speeding, and they probably want a bribe. So now they're putting the hammer down and saying, you are going to get in big trouble, mister. So what happens February onwards, February 2026, when this becomes mandatory? Now, after that point, I mean, why wouldn't they add more things that require the Cuerpo? They've already said that corporations need to start accounting for the Cuerpo and the records for people, right, in their information systems. They need to start accounting for this ID. So, I mean, this is pretty serious. You could see things, important services like utilities and cellular service that would require the Cuerpo. And, I mean, you know, this is just obvious at this point, because you can look to countries with more developed digital ID programs like Pakistan, their national identity card, which became digital in 2001 as this computerized national identity card. Now, these cards in Pakistan are used for social service. It's used for everything: opening a bank account, getting a SIM card, registering a vehicle, getting utilities, education, employment, healthcare, yada, 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 where basically everything you would need to have a life. And in 2022, they reported, NADRA, which is their official registration authority, that they had issued 120 million CNICs to 96% of the adults in Pakistan. That's a lot of uptake. That's a lot of adoption. And I don't know how fast Mexico will move. I mean, Pakistan has been doing it since 2001, so they've had 20 years. They issued 120 million IDs. There's about 200 million people in Pakistan. Half of the million are kids. There's a lot of kids that might not have IDs, or I mean, they're not telling us the statistics for kids. It could be very well a very high proportion for kids too. That's a lot, and yet still, let's go to our article. And yet still, there are millions in Pakistan without a digital ID card. Refugees from Afghanistan and Bangladesh. Look at these homies just chilling out. And they can't vote. They can't access government benefits. They can't go to public school or go to hospitals. or open a bank account or apply for jobs, which, you know, that does suck. A lot of that sucks. A lot of that doesn't sound so bad to me. But the point is that the millions of these refugees are still living outside of this digital ID system. That's the bright news here. Good for them. They're living outside of it. It's possible to live outside of this digital ID system, and I'm sure it will be in Mexico. So the story could be very scary, or it could be very uplifting. To me, it feels like we're on the precipice. These systems they're charging ahead because they're losing traction. They're losing control of the populace. And it's also very exciting for people in Mexico who see this as an opportunity. We can't go to school? We'll make our own schools. Bam. We don't have banks? We'll use Monero. We'll fucking trade rocks. I don't know. So the people outside the system have the opportunity to build better systems and potentially be the pioneers in these new systems, or be some of the early people and help get the community together around this. So we can build better systems that don't demand our identity, control, and for us to be constantly surveilled.